Welcome to Leadership Talks. My name is Lars Friedrich. I'm your host, and today we have Ms. Chum from Microsoft, a company that doesn't need that much of an explanation. Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you, Lars. Thank you for having me. I'm very delighted to be here.
To just kind of get started, everybody knows Microsoft, but the company is constantly innovating and changing. If you would have to explain in one sentence or two what Microsoft is and does to somebody who, and I think that's impossible, have not heard about your company, how would you do it?
So I think our company's mission is very simple, is to empower every organization and every person in the world to achieve more. And how we do that is building a platform, an ecosystem where we give access to the most advanced tools and solutions for everyone to interact with them and to really utilize them to be at their very best in terms of productivity and efficiency.
What role does AI play in the Microsoft universe?
AI, as you know, is not new, right? And we are interacting with AI on a daily basis without even noticing it. When you listen to a podcast, for instance, and you have recommendation on the next one, or when you read a book and you have recommendation on the next digital ebook that you can read, or you listen to a sound, you look for the best way to get somewhere, then this is all powered by AI already. What is a bit different is that we are now seeing a lot of the more focused AI application in the enterprise and business world, because AI can help you automate a certain number of tasks, help you on the summarization, on the comparison, on tapping into a wealth of knowledge for you to leverage that and be better in your job or in your interactions.
So everybody wants to be better in their job, I assume, but a lot of people are also a little bit scared, like with any innovation, there's always that scare, like, is it still then a fit for me? Might I be out of a job? How do you approach that topic also with your staff, with your clients?
So first, at Microsoft, we have been building AI for the last 10 years, right? So it's been more than a decade. And the way we have always built our solutions is around the person. It's around like people. Because what we want to do is really to offer this ecosystem and platform for people to leverage technology, right? To do what is really helpful and making an impact for them. So AI will not replace humans. It's like when Excel was created, it didn't replace any accountants, right? So it's just help them to be much more effective in their job, to handle more scale, more volume, more data, right? So, and this is the way we have also built the solutions around AI. If you refer to the last World Trend Index that we have been releasing this analysis for the past 3 years. So we have interviewed 31,000 people in 31 countries. And also we have leveraged all the signals from the Microsoft Office suite and LinkedIn signals with the agreement of the users to see what is top of mind for like an employee, a worker, someone who uses technology on a daily basis. So AI is definitely top of mind, right? Mm-hmm. In Vietnam, probably more than 50% of the employees that were interviewed that are afraid of seeing their role diminished. At the same time, 90% of them would like to delegate to AI all the mundane tasks, right? Because there's a lot of tedious and repetitive tasks and actions that actually don't help your job, don't help you do better performance. And then we have also interviewed the leaders in Vietnam, asked them, how do you see AI? More than 1/3 of them see AI as a key enabler for their employees to do better, improve well-being, and also in creativity. Mm-hmm. And only 16% or less are seeing it as a kind of way to also diminish the resourcing, right? So that's just to show that AI is not going to replace people, if we can leverage the power of AI and also educate ourselves to really utilize it in a way that is helpful for us, helpful for the company, helpful for the people around us.
So it's a little bit like the approach of what you had in factories about introducing robots. They can take away the more dangerous or
Yes.
In the IT side, mundane task and create more value. It's value creation.
Yes.
And with all these positive outlooks, of course, there are a few concerns about ethics. AI can be biased, and we might end up, instead of having a person-to-person conversation, we might just have an AI-to-AI conversation, and there's no real insight anymore. What's your take on that?
If you talk about the most common AI application those days would be the chat, right? So people are interacting a lot with the ChatGPT. So it's a pre-trained model and generative. So it means that it can learn, it can create new things from its learning, but it has been pre-trained on the set of data. So it means that the more data you train your model on, the more accurate it will be. And then we have also been developing in a very thoughtful manner. And before releasing, we of course get a lot of feedback. We also apply strict compliance and governance into our data and AI solutions because ultimately we think that we are responsible. This opportunity is great and we can help many people, but only as long as we are responsible and we always take the people's side, right? And this is how we have developed all our solutions actually in the ecosystem.
One of the things I read about recently is that a lot of people use, for this example, ChatGPT or other tools, though it's not officially sanctioned by the company. And now a lot of data protection officers are really scared that too much internal data feeds into already kind of a non-approved, non-secured application. Is that something specific to AI tools, or is it at the end of the day the same like I use all that kind of non-sanctioned IT. I use already other tools that are not officially on my list?
We need to make a distinction. So there's the OpenAI portion that is the public one. It has been trained on the... so OpenAI, for instance, the ChatGPT of OpenAI has been trained until 2021 on the data sets available, right? So it means that it's not accurate and is not live. So the data has been pre-trained on a limited period of time, right? And you have what we call the Azure OpenAI, which is how to recreate the power of AI computing, but in your enterprise or organization framework. So here, the organization is really the one controlling and managing the access and also the set of data on which the model will be trained. So let me take an example. At Microsoft, we have a lot of documentation, right? If you are an engineer, you help a customer set up like a virtual machine. In total, we have more than 3,600 set of documentation. So even if you are a very good engineer, there are things that you cannot remember, right? So we have implemented this documentation and trained it into the form of a chat. So for instance, Lars, you call me, I need to implement for you. Then I don't remember anymore all the different steps. I can ask, right? I can say, hey, how can I implement a virtual machine? How can I install that? How do I migrate this workflow from a server to the cloud? And then I will have documentation. So the model has been only trained on Microsoft data set, right? It's not tapping into the internet. It's not accessing the internet. There's no leakage. So I think it's very important to know that there's the public version, which is leveraging the public knowledge of the internet. So you will have the answers that are available on the internet. And on the internet, all answers are not accurate, right? So it's just someone reading all the data and surfacing it to you. So the data may be right or may be wrong, but this is what is existing in the public space. When we talk about OpenAI for enterprise or organizations, it's another set of data. You train on the data of your company. So for instance, let's say you run an insurance company and you want to make it very easy for your customers to call you and to declare, an accident or something. You don't want them to repeat it because it's not a good event. So you want to leverage also AI to be able to transcript very precisely and to analyze the sentiment without asking them too much to repeat this bad experience, for instance. So in this case, it can be very also helpful for the company to leverage AI. But so this is what we do. We advise, we train and we educate, and we deploy the solution. But the company or the organization is the one managing and actually detaining the data, right? And we can train the data on their set. We can also leave the opportunity for the employees to leverage the public data, but with very secure guardrails, right? So that the two sets don't mix and there's no leakage.
And that has been done before with search engines,
yes,
whatever.
Yes.
How do you see the application of artificial intelligence, especially for businesses in Vietnam, compared to the other markets that your colleagues are looking after?
Yes.
Is it faster? Is it slower?
So it's I'm always very passionate about the savviness of Vietnamese people, right? So Vietnam is among the top developers country. The resources, the creativity, the openness of the young generation is incredible. In any launch, we can see a lot of interest from the Vietnamese developers or businesses because they're very open. It's kind of like a new blue sea or blue ocean, and they want to try it. And of course, our role also is to share the best practices and show the limitations of what we are trying to do and help the organizations to be more focused on what is the intent. It's a new technology, so it has a lot of traction. But we also need to remember how is this technology serving the strategy of the company, which is the most important, actually. Technology is just a tool and a solution for you to get somewhere. But this somewhere, you are the one in charge and you are the one saying, hey, this is what I want to do with my company, my organization, and I want to leverage technology to help me get there. But technology will not tell you where to get, right? So I think that's the difference.
So like a hammer is a bad tool if we need a screwdriver.
Yes, so it's precisely. But in Vietnam, what I've seen is a lot of interest and a lot of openness, where also we are really contributing is also to help the government and the ministries to build compliant and responsible AI based on the experience that we have been getting from the 10 years or so work on AI.
One topic I want to address is the way we do engineering or develop things might change. And I've seen that with tools that help you to program code much easier. You don't need to be that deep of an expert to do the task. Does it maybe open the field for people with a different background? So if you're not that, do you think, or do you see it already, that other demographics, genders get attracted to technology because of the ease of use or the way of use?
Yes, so in a recent interview, Satya, our CEO, was really mentioning that he believes that anyone can be a developer. All you need is a smartphone and to know how to ask questions. And this is really our belief. And that's why we want people to leverage the best of technology so that they can open their imagination, their creativity, and create value, actually. So if we make the tools very intuitive, very easy to use, but at the same time very effective, it's like GitHub. If you have a lot of new features where if you are a good developer, using that, you can be a great developer because you don't have to spend too much time checking for errors or checking for misspelling because you have the feature and it will suggest you a better way to code it, right? So you can also learn while you code and then you can spend more time on thinking about the real problems and the real challenges that you want to solve because most of the developers, they have the ambition to solve a problem. That's why they code. So you don't need to be like literally checking each line of code to see where it's not working. You can leverage the power of AI, and it learns. So it will generate also other ways, other suggestions and options. And ultimately, you are still the one in charge, because you agree or you modify or you select the options that is the most consistent for you.
So do we, at the end of the day, need a different type of developers and engineers instead of the technical experts that lock themselves into a basement for a week to come up with the solutions, versus people that have a very different, more let's ask the right questions approach?
It's a very interesting question, Lars. I think it's the whole generation moving in that sense. Also, is a lot lies in the questions you ask, right? If you ask the right question, you already have 50% of the answer. And really, what I can see with a lot of excitement is people being more open and more curious. And this is really what it's about, right? Leveraging technology to be curious. Hey, this problem hasn't been fixed before. Why? Why is that, right? What does it take to fix it? How can I articulate my questions so that I can find some options and some new solutions? I think it will motivate and encourage and also drive people to be more curious and to also ask questions from different angles, because we will be less like about applying the playbook. Oh, this is your line of code. You need to do this to solve this. But then you can ask questions. Hey, I have this, but can I solve it differently? What about this option? Is that a good option? And instead of doing the test yourself and many times, then you can leverage all the data to give you the most probable and the most potential option for your question.
So does it mean also you might change your hiring?
Yes, so it's a learning curve. But once you learn how to think, how to be curious, how to be open, then you have like a notion. It's limitless, right? You can really leverage what is important for you. And you don't necessarily need to be very technical or very skilled in writing codes, for instance. All you need is to assess a problem, to ask it questions from different angles.
Fix the decade-long issue that women are underrepresented in IT.
Yeah, so this is also a topic that is dear to my heart. Right, my mother was one of the first female professor at the Polytechnic in Vietnam. So she was teaching mechanics, applied mechanics, which is a very, very heavy industry kind of mechanics. And she's very loyal to her profession, because the one sentence that she taught me since I was a kid is, you should not waste the force. So my mother sounds a bit like Yoda, but the force is really when you do something, you do it with intent. And you do it at the right time, with the right pressure, in the right direction, right? So that's what it is about. And I think that everyone is able of that. It's not only male, but everyone can be focused with a clear intent and then leverage and learn how to get to this objective, right? So that's why I'm very confident that adoption of these new technologies and most importantly, the new mindset and the way to ask questions, to be curious, to have more creativity, also leveraging technology, we will have more space for people who think differently. And we need to have people who think differently. We cannot be using products that are only designed and thought by half of the population, right? So that's why I think if we have this easiness, people feel comfortable that they can leverage technology. It's not something that is too hard anymore, and they can learn. So I'm sure, I'm really convinced that ladies, and especially in Vietnam, will have a great opportunity there.
You repeated in different ways that, the future is about asking the right questions.
Yes.
Some people call it prompting. Do we have in Asia, and especially in Vietnam, a slightly different situation than in Western countries and companies because of the way of right and false respect of not questioning,
Yes.
of not asking, of not being curious and in front of your boss?
There's definitely a cultural component, right? In a society where there's an organization, there's an order, right? There's a structure. You may be less tempted to ask questions because you would accept things as they are organized. But what I can see from the young generation is a lot of openness. And because they have access to all these technology, it's kind of intuitive for them. They will be asking, hey, why can't I do it? And also, we see it, for instance, we have a regular activities coding with Minecraft, right? So we introduce to kids in school, how to code with Minecraft in a responsible way. So we call it coding for good. Okay. So to solve problems in the environment of Minecraft. And we see the kids are very open. So they ask questions and they don't take an answer for granted because they also find other options to get there, right, to the same result. So I think that this will be a movement and it will transcend the cultural cleavage or legacy of not asking questions. So at Microsoft, what we do a lot is participative decision-making. It may take longer, but it's really important for me to see how all my team members can be having different, ideas and on a way to do things, but we are all working to the same target, right? Where to achieve the same objective. So I think that more and more there's this culture of being open and asking also questions and challenging what has been done, because you can create new things. And it's not about saying that what has been done is not good. It's about, hey, the future has so much more opportunities. So why don't we just try and make the most of the opportunities?
So if the AI model to a large extent is based on looking at past information data, does it also mean the more AI we use, the more we'll actually come up with old ideas instead of inventing the future?
So what is based on the historic data is more the way to train, the way to teach AI how to learn and generate, right? But everything is new. Every interaction is new. So AI generates. It means that it can self-actualize and learn from the interactions to integrate more data. And it can also then modelize in a much broader sense. And it knows that it needs to learn, and there's no interruption. So the more you interact with AI, the more sophisticated, the more accurate the options will be. But of course, it also means that you need to feed the machine, right? And you also will raise questions that have not been asked before. That's the magic of human nature. Only humans can create something that no other did. And then you can leverage AI to help you do that.
So we talked a lot about technology adoption, and what we've seen in the past a lot is that with every new technology, we also have people that adopt early and others that are left behind. What's your take on AI? Will it help to bridge or increase the so-called digital divide with people that have access, people that are young, people that have a certain gender, background, upbringing?
At Microsoft, we have this focus on preparing for the next generation, right? So a lot of what we do is also creating opportunities and preparing today's students to go and get these opportunities. And the second thing that we really are focused on, and especially in Vietnam, is giving access. Because once you have given access, you have educated people, you have trained them, then they can interact really well with technology. So, for instance, since 2021, while COVID hit, we have been training 36,000 people, more on the underserved segments, meaning people living in remote areas, people with disabilities, women entrepreneurship, entrepreneurs, or people in the tourism business that needed conversion and new opportunities, right? And we have delivered 33,000 certificates recognizing the skills and the digital level and standards. So AI can help us do this at scale. So it means that more and more people can have access and also perfect the tool and the solution while they interact with the solution, because they may learn differently, they may ask questions differently, and AI can understand that and can then propose answers that is also more refined and new and generated by the interactions.
To use an example from your house, so for somebody who has never used Excel,
Yes.
I don't need to know all 20,000 submenus anymore.
Yes. No, you don't need to. All you need to do is really ask the question, like a conversation, right? So I'd like to see the best performing product this month. I'd like a graph, and I like to see the evolution for the last 6 months. I like to see how my best customer is doing. All of this, actually, you can get in a few minutes, and it's already there, so that you can decide the better course of action. You don't need to spend too much time into getting these different numbers, collecting them, putting them in a graph. You already have that, so you can think about, hey, so this is my best product. How does it work? How can I scale it, right? Or there's a drop in my best customer consumption. How can I help him? Or is there a problem? Maybe I can engage with him. So you spend less time consolidating the data because AI will do it for you. You can spend more time making use of this data and really leveraging the insights.
And do you believe that with more prompting, more asking questions, for the future of technology, do we need more engineers or more philosophy-trained people? Philosophers.
Yes, I think it's a really interesting question. We need people who also believe in the future and are curious and are engaged and want to solve a problem. So, which is kind of what an engineer does, right? So they want to solve problems. AI and leveraging the right tool at the right moment, then you can be much more creative in the way you envision and the way you try to solve problems, because maybe there will be more than just one solution, right? So I think that what we need is really people with a good heart, an open mind, and not afraid of asking questions, because we don't know what we don't know.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was our episode about how Vietnamese businesses can leverage the power of AI tools and data for innovation and growth. We looked about different aspects of AI within and without Microsoft. What does it mean for Vietnam? And at the end of the day, I think we talked a lot about bringing it down to people to be curious. Thank you so much, Ms. Cham, for joining us today.
Thank you, Lars. Thank you.